Welcome everybody. Welcome to that 52nd edition of Vision du Réel, which is taking place here in Lyon in a hybrid way, both on-site and online, till next Sunday. And we are presenting you today online the movie of Abdallah Al-Khatib, who is with us, with Ansar, who will translate the conversation between English and Arabic. Abdallah Khatib was a filmmaker of a very strong and powerful movie we selected in the international main competition called Little Palestine, A Diary of a Siege. And my first question would be, Abdallah and Ansar, then I was striking yesterday, when I saw our Little Palestine on a big screen, I was just astounded of the way you approach the representation of that very harsh period for you, that you lived with your body, with your mind, and with your population, the Palestinians that were locked in Yarmouk camp. You use all the tools of the cinematic language to depict a very unbearable and very hard situation with very hard pictures when we see other spectators very comfortably in our couch, sitting on our couch, old people starving and children also starving. So was it from the beginning a choice to use the frame to narrate, to tell that story?
أول بقول إنه كتير انصدم كان معجب بمقاربتك لهاي الفترة الصعبة اللي عشتوا باليرموك اللي أنت كنت جسدياً ونفسياً موجود فيه، وأنت بتستخدم كل وسائل اللغة السينمائية لحتى تعبر عن هاي الفترة، عن فترة يلي الناس ما بيقدروا يتحملوا أصلاً، بينما نحن قاعدين بكراسينا ومرتاحين، يعني بنشوف ناس بيموتوا إلى آخره. فكان من الأول هذا قرار إنه أنت يعني بتستخدم هذا النوع من الإطار لحتى تحكي عن هاي الفترة.
حقيقة أنا ما بلشت أصور من بداية أحداث الثورة السورية، بلشت شوي متأخر بعملية التصوير. أول مرة فكرت بأنه لازم أصور اللي عم بيصير باليرموك بعد بداية الحصار. كان في 3 نقاط بالنسبة لي واضحين جدا. النقطة الأولى أنه المجزرة اللي عم بتصير بهذا المكان لازم يتم توثيقها، لأنه نحن كفلسطينيين في عنا تاريخ طويل من المجازر اللي ارتكبت ضدنا بفلسطين، بلبنان وبالأردن، ودائما كانت الكاميرا غايبة. فهاي المرة كان في إمكانية أنه الكاميرا تكون موجودة، فهاي النقطة رقم 1.
He's saying in his words, I was not filming at the beginning of the Syrian revolution from the very first day. I started actually quite late. I took up the camera during the siege of Yarmouk, and there were 3 main points why I started doing this. And the first was that I was realizing that it's really important to document the massacre that is committed against us, against the Palestinian people, because this had happened in the past in Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and back then there was no camera with us to document what is happening.
النقطة الثانية، كيف فينا نصور الناس بكرامتهم؟ يعني الثورة السورية يمكن والحرب اللي عم بتصير بسوريا من أكثر الحروب اللي تم توثيقها، تم استخدام الكاميرا فيها، وكل هاي المشاهد والفيديوهات اللي انتشرت بكل العالم ما أدت لوقف الحرب بسوريا، ومع ذلك كان فيها امتهان لكرامة الضحية، لأنه عم بيتم نشر صور ما بتراعي حق الضحية وحق عائلة الضحية. فاللي كنت عم بفكر فيه دائما كيف أصور الناس وهي عم تطلع بكرامتها، وكناس مو ضحايا سلبيين، ولكن كناس صامدين ومقاتلين بيدافعوا عن حقوقهم بالبقاء داخل المخيم بظل الحصار.
And the other point is the dignity of the people. As we know, the Syrian revolution and the war going on in Syria is one of the most documented wars in modern times. But despite all this documentation, the war couldn't be stopped, and it's still continuing. And in the end, what we had was many pictures, many videos depicting people in a really undignified way. So for me, it was really important to depict people with all their dignity and to show how they're trying to use so many different tools to be steadfast in the situation which they're in, to show that they're resisting the situation they're living during the siege.
النقطة الثالثة كيف فيني أطلع تناقضات المكان بالمعنى الاجتماعي والمعنى النفسي. فأغلب المشاهد اللي موجودة بالفيلم فيها هذا النوع من التناقض. يعني على سبيل المثال البنت الصغيرة اللي جنب الشوربة اللي عم بصورها من رجليها وبطلع لعند عيونها، هذا المشهد فيه كم مهول من التناقض بالنسبة لي على الأقل. كيف إنه هي كان عندها أظافر كانت عم تمنكرن بلون حلو، وبعدين بظل الحصار كيف بتغير هذا اللون، ونحن عم نطلع بالكاميرا فبتتوقع تلاقي بنت منكسرة عم تطلع نحو الأرض، ولكن أنت بتشوف عم تطلع حاطة عينها بوجه الكاميرا اللي هي عمليا عم تحط عينها بوجه العالم، بتقول أنا هون.
And the third point are all the contradictions that we were living. So there are the social contradictions, and also there are the psychological contradictions. And you can actually see them in most of the scenes in the film. And one of the main contradictions you can probably see in the scene where you see this little girl waiting to receive the soup during the siege. And I filmed her from her toes up to her face, and you can see the color on her toes. And so you can see, okay, once in a time she was actually carrying on how she looks as a little girl and would put the color there. And then you would imagine while the camera goes up that you maybe then see actually broken person. Mm-hmm. But you don't see a broken person. You see how a girl is putting her eyes to the camera, and actually through the camera is putting her eyes on the world. And
والمشهد الثاني اللي كثير بيعني لي هو المشهد المرأة اللي عم تطعمي امها. هلا للحظه الاولى الناس بتخد انه اوكي حدا عم بياكل من قمامه، فهذا المشهد في كثير ناس بهذا الكوكب بياكلوا لانه احنا بعالم ما له عادل اصلا. بس التناقض الصارخ بهذا المشهد انه مع كل هاي الصعوبه والحصار وهي عم تاكل من قلب الزباله، مع ذلك عم تقسم الاكل بينها وبين امها بكل هذا الحب. يعني اول شيء بتطعم بامها، المره الثانيه بتقسم اللقمه بينها وبين امها. هذا كمان التناقض اللي كنت بدي احاول انه الناس تفهم انه هدول الناس مش وحوش، مع كل الظرف اللي عايشين فيه لسه عندنا هذا الكم من الحب تجاه بعض.
And another scene that I really love is the scene where you see how the woman is feeding her mom. She is trying to look for food in the pile of garbage. And generally people might think like, okay, we are anyway not living in a fair world. So people also know this feeling, how it is to look for food in garbage. But what is important here is that despite this really harsh situation we were living in, you can see how the woman is sharing the food with her mom. The first time she picks up food and she gives it to her mom, and in the second scene you can see how she's sharing, dividing between herself and her mom. And what I tried to show is that even when we live in these really hard situations, the people are not animals. Like they still have so much love for each other that they would even share with each other when they have this scarcity.
That's what you are telling us with that beautiful voiceover also. And I was thinking about another movie that we selected here from Avig Mograbi called The First 54 Years. And in that movie, he's taking the role of a professor or a teacher who can give advice to people who want to oppress other people. And you, Abdallah al-Khatib, you wrote what you call the 40 rules of a siege, and you use it also to put you inside the story you are counting to us. And I remember one sequence when you are just framing the street and there is an old guy coming very, very slowly, and we can hear your voiceover about one of those 40 rules of siege, and you let the camera roll, and the guy, that old people, is just addressing you. Oh, young boy, do you got a small thing to eat? And you answer, and we can feel that you answered behind the camera, not at all, I'm sorry. But there is that, with your voiceover, you are creating time, space and time.
بموضوع الفويس اوفر كمان هون بالمهرجان عندهم فيلم تبع عربي مغربي فبهالفيلم في استاذ وهالاستاذ بياخذ الدور انه بيعطي نصايح شلون تقدر تقمع ناس فانت كمان عندك دور معين من خلال 40 قواعد الحصار فهو بيقول انه هو بيذكر مشهد وقت ما هذا العجوز بيقدم باتجاهك وبيسألك عن أكل ونحن بنحس فيك وراء الكاميرا وأنت بتجاوب عليه أنه فعلا ما عندي فأنت من خلال الفويس أوفر تبعك أنت بتخلق حيز بتخلق مكان وبتخلق زمن.
هلا بالدرجه الاولى الفويس اوفر بالنسبه لي ابدا ما كان بطريقه استاذ بدي اعلم الناس شو لازم تعمل بالحصار، بالعكس تماما الفويس هو حوار مع ذاتي، يعني انا عم بحكي شو عم بيصير معي وعم بنصح حالي شو اللي لازم اعمله، يعني ما عم بوجه الحديث لحدا ثاني. هلا النص الاصلي للقواعد اكثر بيظهر فكره انه هذا حوار بيني وبين حالي مو مع الجمهور. لانه القاعده الاخيره يعني القاعده رقم 40 اللي ما ذكرتها بالفيلم انه لا قواعد في الحصار، لا حصار كالحصار، لا قواعد في الحصار، يعني ما في حصار مثل الحصار، كل واحد له قاعدته. اللي حاولت اعمله جاوبي هذا برجع الجزء الثاني.
Okay. So I did not try to be at all a teacher through the rules. The rules were basically a dialogue with myself.
Abi is an ironical teacher. I mean.
Yeah, okay. يعني بشكل سخري بيشتغل أبي مغربي. Of course. So the 40 rules were rather the attempt to have a dialogue with myself and to try to find a way to advise myself how to live and survive
to stay
the
human.
siege. تضل إنساني كمان بهالوقت. So in the first version that I wrote during the siege, this becomes even more clear. And there is the 40th rule that you do not see or that we didn't use in the film. But the 40th rule actually says that there is no rule in the siege. Every siege will have its own rules.
فاللي يعني مثلا هذا مشهد الاختيار اللي حكى عنه القاعده اللي بحكي فيه هون، انه لما بصير في عندك الاجوبه على الاسئله البسيطه، بطل عندك عفوا اجوبه على الاسئله البسيطه، يعني الاختيار عم بيسالني على ملبسه وانا ما قدران اجاوبه حتى على السؤال، فبتحس انه ما لك قيمه بهذا الكوكب كلياته، انه انت مجرد حبه سمسم، وكل القيم اللي بتامن فيها بالعداله والحريه وحقوق الانسان والاخر بتعتبر انها كذبه لما بتشوف حدا بهذا العمر عم بيمشي بهذا الشكل وانا بكل عجزي وكاميرتي واقف قدامه فبحس بالعار.
And the scene you talked about and also the rule to it actually shows that in the situation of siege, the simple questions do not have a simple answer anymore. He just wants food, and I'm not even able to answer to him. So I felt like a little Samsoni seat, and you realize in this situation that all these big principles like freedom, social justice, and so on, they lose their meaning when this old guy is approaching me. And I cannot answer to it. I just stand there with my camera. I felt really shame.
ومحمود هذا الشخص اللي عم بيسألني بعد 3 أيام بموت.
هذا? Okay. So his name is Abu Mahmoud, and 3 days later he died actually out of starvation من الجوع.
Could you also tell us more about the relationships we are building also with the children, which are which represent also the future for your people?
فيك تحكي لنا أكثر عن علاقتك بالأولاد اللي نوعاً ما بتمثل المستقبل بالنسبة للناس؟
يعني من أجمل الأشياء اللي بالحصار هن الأطفال، قدرة الأطفال على التعامل مع الحدث، كيف قادرين يتمسخروا بكل الظروف. يعني الأولاد هن عم بيقطفوا وعشوا وعم بتضحكوا وعم بيقولوا نحن عم ناكل أكل حيوانات وهن عم بيضحكوا. أو الولد اللي قاعد بالبسكليت واللي واضح إنه كتير تعبان وحزين بنفس الوقت، يعني مو حزين بس تعبان، واضح الحصار عليه، بنفس الوقت بيلاوي وبيسلم للكاميرا. فهذا اللسان هو مو لإلي كمان، دائما هذا اللسان عم بيكون للآخرين. اللي انتم هلا عم تتوقعوا مني تشوفوني ولد عم ببكي او الاخر، لا انا ببساطه عم بلاوقكم، ويعني ما راح احكي كلمه خرع عليكم، بس هيك يعني بتكون بيعطيك هذا الاحساس، يعني انه نحن كل شيء عم بيصير بالنسبه لنا بنشوفه بعين مختلفه.
And actually through the children we see that they have an amazing ability, and one of the abilities is that they're always able to actually make fun. So in the film you see the scene where the children are picking herbs that are actually not eatable from the ground.
Tasneem.
And
There's a sequence with Tasneem.
There's a sequence with Tasneem, but also with the other children playing behind the fence, and they're making fun. They're saying like, we are eating animal food, and they laugh and interact. And then there's the other scene where you have this small child being in a basket at a bicycle, and you see
with his tongue.
Exactly. Then the child
he sees that you are filming him, and he says,
Exactly. يعني هو لاحظ إنه أنت عم تصور. Exactly. And Abdallah is saying that this tongue was not for him and his camera. This tongue was for the others, for those outside, because they always had this feeling like you see us. And this was the way of interacting with them. Like it was a tongue to the world, like see what's happening to us here.
فدائما يعني كنت عم بحاول، او مو عم بحاول، هاي الحقيقه، بس كنت عم بحاول اظهرها بهاي الفيلم، كيف الاولاد بيتعاملوا مع الاشياء. يعني مشهد مثلا بتلاقي الختيار التعبان اللي ماشي وعم بيرفع وعيه وواضح التعب عليه، مو مبين وشه، بالمقابل بتيجي بنت صغيره ملونه وشها، حاطه فراشه على وشها. ففي هذا التناقض الصارخ كمان، كيف انه يعني مع كل شيء بس لسه المستقبل لنا، مو لحدا ثاني. كيف المشهد الولد اللي بيقول انا اشتقت لاخوي بضحك، كلهم بيضحكوا، فبكل الظروف كانوا عم بيضحكوا. ما بيفكروا لبعد سنه شو بده يصير، بيفكروا بيوم هن بيفكروا بهاي اللحظه اللي عايشين فيها بس. فبهاي اللحظه عم بيلعبوا اوكي، فهن مبسوطين.
And in the film, I really tried to show, this ability of the children. So you see in one scene, you see like the elderly people, how they deal and struggle with the situation. So there's one scene where even an elderly person is covering his face, but then you see another girl walking, and she's actually really like she tried to dress in a way that shows like she still cares. and that's just so strong. And then you have the children playing with each other, and one of the children is saying that he misses his brother who had died. But at the same time, the child is laughing about it. So this kind of shows us this great ability that children think about the very moment. They think about the moment when they're playing and they're really, really happy. They do not think about what might happen in a year.
بس اخر نقطه بدي اعلق هذا المشهد انه في ناس فكرت انه هذا المشهد مطبق انه انا حاكي للاولاد شو يحكوا فبس فكره انه في ولد بيحلم اول مره بيجي بده يحلم ثاني مره فيجي واحد بيقول له انت حلمت قبل شوي ما فيك تحلم مرتين يعني هاي العفويه مستحيل تتطبق باي شكل من الاشكال.
And just as a last comment about the scene where you have all these different children that tell us about their dreams, there were people that told me like, no, Abdallah, this is not a real scene. You told them what to say. And he said like, no, of course I did not tell them what to say. And you can see it in the dialogue between the children, because one of the children shares his dream with us, and later he comes up with another dream. And then one of the other children says like, no, wait, a second ago you dreamt about this and that. You cannot now just change your dream. So this kind of interaction and spontaneity, you cannot tell children to play it.
Thank you very much. Time is running. Thank you very much again for your contribution and for that very strong piece about the resistance of your people, of the Palestinian people, through your images. Thank you again, Abdallah. Thank you, Hamza, for the translation. I would remind the audience that you can see our little Palestine from today, 7 p.m. till the 24th of April, 7 p.m. also. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.